Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and after years in the making, not only does it exist, but it's here. This week, fans will finally be able to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. Whether you want to or not, it happened. And before I even get to my review, which is going to be a very fair review, before I even get there, I want to say something. It needs to be said. This is a massive, unprecedented achievement for Zack and Deborah Snyder. Now, I genuinely congratulate them for pulling off the impossible and getting this made. This doesn't happen. This cut was always for him, his family, his diehard fans, and all of those fans who enjoyed his darker take on this DCEU characters. They have been ridiculed online since Man of Steel. Let's be honest about it. They have. And to all of those fans who've just been the brunt of the joke and said, you're never going to see this, look, good on you. Congratulations. This is your day. Enjoy this movie. Doesn't matter what we think. Anybody in here still hating and disliking and just here, move on. Enjoy the movie. It's here now. You won. You had it. We're allowed to now react honestly, and I'm gonna react honestly. And it's a mixed bag for me, more positive than negative. Honestly, this film is for them. This film is for Zack and his family, and I want to get out there that they will love this film. If you are a fan of Zack's DCEU, you will absolutely just love what he's done here because it's a continuation of these characters, right? It gets to delve into these characters deeper than ever before. So for fans of the DCEU, this is a huge blessing. For folks who didn't like Zack's take on things, well, perhaps if you were less indifferent about it, this review is for you because I know that's who mostly watches and subscribes to me and wants to hear what I think because that's always what my opinion has been. I don't dislike Zack at all. I disliked his take on some of the characters that I love, but look, I just want to be clear. I'm a fan of these characters. I got the OG. Look, I got them all here. So these are the characters when I was a kid. You know, if you know how old these superpowered friends are, you know how old these are. These were the toys I played with when I was a kid. I got all of them. I'm not some like everyone's like Andy. What do you don't know anything about? Lies. These were the characters I played with when I was a kid. So these characters mean a lot to me. So that's why I think for a lot of people, when Zack decided to go and do his sort of own take on things, some of us didn't like his take, some of us did. And it was just interesting seeing how literal his adaptation of Watchmen was for him then to come and sort of take creative liberties in a way on sort of Superman and try and do like a little bit of a darker take and his own sort of version of those things. It's interesting, right? So but the reality is here, before I even get to the thought, it needs to be said, yes, if you like his DCEU, you like these characters, if you liked BVS, if you liked Man of Steel, chances are you are going to love this because it's a longer, more in-depth version of that world. And in that regard, get excited, watch it. Now, for those of you who are sort of indifferent or didn't like it, let's get into this, okay? Because I have some notes here I'm going to be reading throughout this. I'm going to explain what's different. I'm going to explain some of my thoughts here. Because, look, it is totally possible for us to respect Zack, his achievement for getting here, and also enjoy chunks of this cut, while also still not connecting to the material. That is a reality that I think his fans are going to have to deal with because that's, I think, going to be what really happens here at the end of the day. There will be a swell of support in the beginning from all the diehard fans and Snyder fans and fans who love this universe. Absolute enjoyment, but I wonder how the everyday fans will react to this material. The ones who don't even really know what this cut is. Most people out there who would just buy a ticket at the theater if this was there, see an advertisement, oh, cool, Justice League's back. People who haven't been following this like all of us have, I'm curious how they are going to react to this film. And that's who I'm sort of speaking to. All right, so look, it's a 4-hour film, right? So it's a 4-hour plus film. And in that regards, it's better because it gets to have more time to tell this story. That's the most important thing I can sort of convey here in my review of this film. The film is better in a lot of parts because you get to stretch out some of these scenes. You get to learn more about these characters. You get to live in them a little longer. And for that reason, it works. Now, in other ways, it doesn't work. In other ways, especially the first half of this movie, it does feel bloated. And so, you know, BVS, Man of Steel, all these movies, to me, felt like a lot of movie being jammed into what was needing to be a 2-hour theatrical runtime. And, you know, especially BVS, there's so much movie going on, it probably would have been better suited in a same format as what we just got with Justice League. Because you could have had that longer running time could have given you more, you know, earn those story beats a little stronger, more character motivations, the arc to getting them where they got. All of that would have been better. Just like the BVS Ultimate Edition fans are like, it's way better because you get to see more of Clark's stuff. All of that makes sense and why this movie works better, because you're getting more motivations and more, you get to live in the scene a little longer, and so that works. Now, that said, I have to put it out there. I don't understand what version of this movie Zack thought he was ever going to be able to release back in 2017. Now, formats have changed with the world of streaming now. He gets to release this as a 4-hour version, and maybe moving forward, that's more of a thing HBO and other studios decide to do. But back in 2017, it's just weird that he shot so much. Usually that's a bad thing for a director to do because you're overshooting. What are you doing? How are you going to edit all this down? Like, most movies require serious cuts. The best filmmakers in the world will admit that. I hated letting that go, but I had to let that go for the pacing of the film. Yeah. It's always what directors do. So in this version, it's really strange because it's like, everyone's like, I can't believe Warner Brothers would have cut this movie, yada, yada, yada. And in some ways, sure, there are some scenes I totally agree. But overall, how can Warner Brothers release this 4-hour cut back in 2017 theatrically? It just makes no sense to me. If Zack had stayed there, he would have had the fight in him. If he had the fight in him and the tragedy didn't happen, if the what ifs, we'll never know. But if he was able to stay and fight with the studio, I think they would have agreed to a 2.5-hour cut. And I think that 2.5-hour cut would have been better for it. It would have had the visuals that the Josses didn't have as many flourishes that Zack did, and it would have been able to pump out some of those scenes. And I think that would have been ultimately the best version of this film, because while I appreciate some of the stretching out, some of it's too much. Some of it is absolutely too much, in my opinion, for me. So that's ultimately my sort of feeling on this. Yes, overall, it's not a bad movie. It's actually not a bad movie, but I'm just indifferent to a lot of it. But then in the second half of the film, it definitely kicks up. And the finale in this is better, and I'll get through more of that. But so I broke down some thoughts here because there's so much to say. I want to make sure I actually go through here. All right, so let me start here. I don't hate these versions of these characters. I want to make sure I put that out there. Gal, Henry Cavill, Jason Momoa, Affleck. I've been impressed with them. I think Ezra Miller, he's sort of, Ray Fisher didn't really get a lot to shine. He definitely gets more to do in this, but I'll get to him in a bit. But overall, these characters, I haven't hated them. I just didn't love the approach of Superman, and I didn't love the rush and what happened in BVS. Wonder Woman, I was a huge fan of, and Zack had a big part in picking her and getting her involved. So even Aquaman, I enjoy Aquaman. So I don't hate these characters. I just hated the rush. So you'd think, well, then, Andy, the stretched out version of this should be better, right? And in a lot of ways, it is. It is better. And so what's truly different about this cut? Let's get to it, because there's two real things I want to focus on. The first is the order. The order of things, obviously, is totally different in this new cut, as expected. And I want to talk about an example. So the opening of this film starts with sort of a stylized Zack Snyder version of previously on the Zack Snyder's DCEU, where we get this, we see the sacrifice Superman makes against Doomsday, and it's this slow-mo, Snyderized slow-mo scene as Superman's dying, and we sort of see it around. The reverberations of that are heard all over. First, and this is literally the opening of the movie, you see like the reverberations of his death, and Cyborg reacts. And then we see Cyborg has a mother box in his closet, and that's starting to turn on. And then suddenly we go through and we realize it's traveling all the way through. All the mother boxes are now hearing, sort of implying that this death of Superman has somehow activated these CGI boxes to sort of start kicking up, and that's how we're introduced to them. And then the next scene in this Snyder cut is Bruce meeting Arthur Curry, which we've seen before. But this scene really explains the second big difference of, well, the movie's longer. And so when I say it's obviously longer, obviously duh, but I'm just saying that means the scenes from 2017 are now longer as well. Each scene, it gets more chance to breathe. And then I want to talk about this Arthur Curry scene because to me, it's probably the best example to sort of explain whether you're going to like or not like this film. So in the original Arthur Curry, in this version of, in Zack Snyder's version, we'll call it Zack's, and then the original is what I'll say. In Zack's version here, we cut right to its first major scene in the movie, and it's shots of Bruce riding on a horse over the mountains. It's a much longer sort of establishing of getting him there, walking down to the town, walking into the town, saying hello, and like, I'm looking for a man. Like, it's all spread out a lot more, just in depth. And there's more tension in the tavern as he walks in. There's even like a subtitled dialogue scene added where it's like, the storm's grounded choppers for 6 days. Where did he come from? He said he climbed over the mountains. That's impossible. All of this, adding to make Bruce seem more of a badass. character depth, right? It's adding character moments that they had to cut because they're trying to get through it quicker. And so, it totally helps. And it also helps to believe why Arthur would talk to him. This whole scene extended sort of really does give a little bit more motivation behind it. It also cuts one of the stupidest scenes in the original, which is this moment here where it's like this shot is so stupid. And this is in Joss's version of like, any detective work that Batman has just done where you think he's awesome for figuring it out goes out the window because it's like, oh, well, there's Jason Momoa carrying fish from the water. Clearly what's going on. And then on top of how ridiculous the shot is, how would this town know about the 3 mother boxes that are just happen to be graffitied on the wall? So this scene always rubbed me the wrong way. It's a silly scene, and this scene's cut. Obviously, this scene's not there, and it's not in there. And so the other thing that it does, aside from cutting that, so as I'm proving, yes, so far it's better. It's longer. It's better. But in the scheme of thing, do all these longer cuts make for a better thing? Sometimes no. In this instance, though, it's definitely a better scene. But as the scene ends, we get that same moment where he's walking away, and it's Bruce giving up his secret identity in public, which I always just annoyed. He's like, yeah, I dress up like I'm the Batman. And it's like, I guess he's just given up his secret identity, which doesn't make sense given the cut scene at the end of this movie. Anyway, but that scene's still there. I always thought that was a Joss scene, but it wasn't. And where Arthur's like, oh, so you dress like a bat? That's stupid. That's all Zack. That was all Zack's. And so that scene's still in it. And then it just turns out that scene, that whole scene, here, I have it here. This whole scene with this close-up shot of Arthur where he's like, I
don't mind if the ocean dries.
Which is just like, what? He doesn't mind. This close-up shot, green screen, clearly they shot it again. As with, I went too far back. As with all the Ben Affleck shots where he's talking to him. This shot of Ben Affleck talking to him, every scene pretty much seems like it's added in because this dialogue is all mother box dialogue. All this mother box talk is all important, and it's important I bring this up. The reason I've started with this example is because it really does explain what the differences between the cuts are. And this scene, if you remember in Joss's cut, the original cut, you have that stupid scene with the mother boxes, and you have this stupid dialogue with, I'll pay you $50,000 if you tell me about those boxes. What are they? All of that sort of is important because all of that's gone in Zack's version. The only thing we know about the mother boxes in the beginning is the reverberation we see them when Superman dies. It's the only thing we're sort of told, and then nobody really knows. Batman doesn't know what they are and doesn't find it out. And that's sort of an important difference because, again, it's going back to the order of things. In Joss's version of the film, it starts with this stupid shot, which we make fun of because he removed a mustache. But it starts with a moment with Superman, which I actually liked, this hopeful opening moment with the kids talking to him. What's the best thing about planet Earth? And he sort of has to pause and smiles and thinks about it. And then it fades out, and then we see Superman dead and the paper, and it goes through, followed by that Ben Affleck Batman action scene, which I did like. The criminal on the roof. What do you want from me? Fear. They can smell it. I did enjoy that scene. That was not a scene I had a problem with in Joss's version. All of that was Joss's cut. And the criminal even says at the end of this whole moment where Bruce gets Batman gets the parademon and figures it out, they have this stupid shot at the very end where it's like revealing the mother boxes. Now, it doesn't make any sense, but it's clear that the studio must have had a mandate of like, all right, can you explain the plot quicker? Can you just get through the mother box explanation fast? Just get that over with, start with some action, and just get it out of the way. And it sort of makes sense why the studio does that. Most movies have that problem of these silly sci-fi exposition. And traditionally, Joss likes to just burn through it. The Avengers do it too. I'm not trying to just call out this movie, but the Avengers do it too. And so the problem is like, what I'm trying to get at is in Joss's version, there's more of a detective Batman who's figuring it out, who knows the parademons exist, who now has learned that there's 3 box things that, what are these? I need to figure it out. All the detective Batman on the hunt is a more interesting opening for me than starting with the flashback and then suddenly we meet Arthur Curry. Joss's cut opens with that hopeful Superman shot, which while it looks stupid, I hear you. It just is a good idea. And then it starts with and then it has that opening shot. It has the Ben Affleck action sequence. It has then a montage opening to Everybody Knows, another Leonard Cohen song that I actually enjoyed because it shows the turmoil that the world is currently in. It flashes through Diane Lane and her Martha Kent scenes of just sort of the stuff that Zack spends a little bit more time on later in the movie. It shows all of this, and it gets through that, as well as then the scene with Arthur Curry, Lois Mourning. It gets through all of that rather quickly and a little bit tighter. And then it goes into the Wonder Woman action scene at the bank. I'm talking Joss's cut. And then it goes into Bruce finding Arthur. And all of those scenes, mind you, that I just set up in the original cut were 15 minutes long. Now, the reason I brought it up is because in Zack's version, you get that opening replay moment, and then you get Bruce finding Arthur, and after Bruce leaves with Arthur, you're 14 minutes into the movie. So 1 minute less, and he's only done pretty much 1.5 scenes. Whereas Joss went through like 3 in a montage, and then the Superman moment. It just gives you sort of an intent of what to expect when you're going in this. And I plan to do a bigger breakdown of that because I'm so fascinated from a film school approach of what makes the difference and really what it is. And when I can show you the Snyder Cut, I really look forward to breaking down even that whole opening just to sort of show the differences because personally, I while it's nice to see the Arthur scene stretched a bit, I will say that scene is better. I think I prefer Joss's opening. It makes me realize the best version of this film would have been a hybrid of both because the reality is like, look, there's nothing amazing about sky beams in a movie, right? I don't care what they are. We've seen them 100 million times. And yet, so there's so much more time spent explaining the dumb sky beams at times in this movie that it just was like, why does it matter? There's literally a line where Cyborg, Bray Fisher's been fighting to get more of it. And then Cyborg has a moment in Zack's cut where they're like all talking about the plan. And Bruce is right. We have to destroy the defensive dome so we can reach the Unity before it synchronizes. I mean, who cares? All this sci-fi mumbo-jumbo exposition, no one cares about that stuff. It's in every sci-fi movie from Marvel to DC, whatever. And while Joss likes to burn through that kind of quippy and get through it, Zack clearly doesn't have a problem sort of sitting there a few more beats than maybe he needs to, explaining it to us and explaining it to us later in sort of moments. And that's ultimately my problem overall with the film is just there were moments where I feel like you could have burned through this quicker. It doesn't actually matter. The character stuff matters, but some of this other flourishy stuff doesn't matter. And that's ultimately my issue with it. It just, the film feels bloated at times and could have been tighter. And I wish someone had been able to sort of help him, push him to trim more. It almost feels like he had a tighter cut probably, and then when they said do whatever you want, he's like, awesome, I'm gonna put it all in. So it really seems like there's value here and you get everything. I'm not gonna hide any extra deleted scene. It's all but put back in to give you guys more, and more isn't always better. It's gonna be better for the fans who eat this up and love it, but the people who are like, Justice League was okay, the problems I had with Justice League are still kind of there, which is like what. It's interesting. The Justice League cut, sort of brings more conflict with the characters. Bruce and Diana fight more. They reshot a whole bunch of stuff to sort of create some conflict between the two of them. Whereas in this one, they don't as much. There's a whole scene in the original one where it's like where Bruce calls her out and is like, "Oh," and Diana's like, "You got to move on, Bruce." And then she's like, "Oh yeah, did Steve Trevor tell you that?" And it's actually a biting, good moment that connects the worlds together. That stuff's not in this. And so it seems clear that Joss added a little bit more conflict. He added more explanation quicker to sort of get through the mother box, blah, 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 exposition. And he definitely added some quips. Like the scene where Flash falls and Wonder Woman totally didn't need it. However, Zack has a moment in this where Flash is digging the grave with Cyborg, and Zack's version goes, "Do you think she'd date a younger guy?" And Cyborg, "Well, she's 5,000 years old. All she dates is younger guys." So it's like, while they sort of the fall-on moment, which is stupid, still like a silly dating joke that Zack sneaks in and nobody has a problem with. It's not like it's so much better than what Joss did that I don't understand why we're so offended. What Joss clearly had to do was do the mandate that Zack has admitted, which was this movie needs to be 2 hours long. And that's the reality here. This movie got to be finally the full length, and fans who like the movie are going to want to see it, right? Who like his previous movies, at least, are going to see this stretched out and not have it feel as rushed as I think the original Justice League does feel a little bit. At the same time, some of those moments that Joss burns through, I think were okay. Like, we didn't need it to be stretched out like it did. So now that while I focus on those negatives, I do want to focus on some positives. Now, I would say part 4 is where things really get into gear. It is a 6-part thing, and there's an epilogue, so you can stop at certain parts. But part 4 is really where things get better. And there's a great scene added with Lois and Martha Kent. Won't spoil it, but it's worlds better than the one that Joss reshot in the Daily Planet scene. So there's an example of where the reshoots Joss has made it worse. There's another the finale. In fact, most of the action is similar, let's be honest, because a lot of that was probably prevised, and Joss just tightened some of them. Zack is able to sort of stretch them out and let the beats hit, and the moments, slow-mo and moments and hits. And I will admit, a lot of the action does play better in Zack's cut as well, and especially the finale. Now, while I didn't love the beginning of this film, the second half of this film absolutely picks up, and the finale is 10 times better than the finale in Joss's version. Like, way better. So I do want to give him credit and sort of, yes, that part's definitely better. And so, just making sure I'm going through my notes to give you all the important parts I want to talk about. The film does lose some of the character arcs, I feel like, because in Joss's version, the Flash is nervous on his first adventure, and that whole speech of Bruce where he's like, just save one. That's all you need to do. The rest will come to you. I like that moment, actually. While I didn't like a lot of the stupid parts of Justice League, there were a few moments I liked, and some of the Flash parts I did enjoy. And the just save one line was, I thought, a really valuable line that it was added. That's gone. And instead, Flash sort of just knows what he's doing. And that's why we get this scene added with Iris West where he saves her. You've seen it where the car's flipping. And it's an awesome action sequence. I'm shocked they cut it. But I think they cut it because they were trying to make Flash seem like he doesn't know what he's doing in Joss's version, whereas in Zack's he does. But the scene doesn't really add anything except for just showing, he's quippy and he does know how to sort of control his powers is what he sort of puts out there. But there's not much else growth on the Flash. He's just sort of happy to be there. All those jokey scenes, I do really love I thought it was Joss's joke too, but what's your superpower to Bruce in the car, and Bruce goes, I'm rich. That was Zack's cut. Most of the quippy stuff from Flash is still in this. So that's all there, but I preferred the arc of the Flash not believing in himself and then believing in himself better in Joss's version. However, I like the sequences of the Flash here. So it's a combo that I think could have really worked better. And then Cyborg. Obviously, Cyborg gets a much better arc here because they explain things. But he's still like a robot, and I don't feel like he's like blows me away from a performance standpoint. He has to do a lot of things robotic. There's a moment no, and he does some tears, and he's fine. But he's a robot. He got in an accident because his dad didn't show up to a football game, and then he takes it against his dad. And so there's scenes with him and his dad, and will they get together? Yeah, it adds more depth for sure. But for me, it didn't I wasn't like, oh my God, this is Oscar worthy. Yes, let's scorch all of Warner Brothers in Hollywood because your scene got cut. Didn't get that vibe at all. So I don't. It's better. You'll get more of him, but overall, I don't know. Regarding that, they do remove the B plot of the Russian family, which was silly. That was good, a good addition. But that means we lose that fun moment, which I did like, where Flash and Superman are like, I'll get the ones on the right, you get the one on the left. I liked seeing them together, sort of having fun. That's gone. As is that end foot race, the end credit scene of the original one. That one's gone. But we still get that amazing fight sequence where Superman comes back. My favorite moment in both films is still that moment where Superman comes back and the Flash then kicks in. Is like, I'm going to get this. And then Superman's like, slowly looks. I love it. And then you see well, duh, of course Superman can go as fast. Superman hasn't activated that really the same way. Like, he's sort of shocked. I really like that moment. It's still in this moment. It's in this movie. That one really works well. So it does, that whole action scene with Superman versus the League plays better longer. It's more intense. But it does remove Bruce's bring out the big gun moment because Lois just instead shows up, which for me was just odd because it does make Batman look not as smart. Like, I do believe Batman would have used Lois to bring him there. Like, I need it. I knew, like, he always thinks ahead, Batman. Even the Ben Affleck Batman, I feel like, who's been around that long, would do that, given the things he already did in BVS, etc. He would have any, plan ready to go just in case. So it's weird. There are moments of Joss's cut which I do think worked. Because I didn't really like it. And that's the reason why I don't really like this one. I still don't really like it, but it's slightly better because he does stretch things out. Some of the action is cooler. There's absolutely cooler action shots. Like this scene right here, is at. I'm shocked this wasn't in the movie, but it's like an Avengers style shot that he added. And wasn't in the film, where you get Batman in the Batmobile with all the characters like rah charging ahead to sort of stop the bad guys. Yeah, this is cool. And the action scene is cooler. You still get Aquaman surfing on weird bodies, flying around, which I never understood. Does Aquaman fly? I don't remember him doing that. Maybe that's something I missed. But yeah, I guess he has super jumps. But anyway, that's still in there. But overall, here, so if you I want to make sure I've covered a couple other things that you guys are probably like, well, what about this? What about this? Steppenwolf, he's better. He's definitely better. They give him more. I didn't feel as menaced, like he was menacing as much as I kind of felt bad for him. He's there as sort of like the guy. He's just trying to please Darkseid. He's like, I will prove you right. I will earn my respect back. Like there's sort of a, poor guy. While he definitely looks more menacing, the sharp thing is cool. Like it does look better than the sort of CGI Shakespearean guy from the first Steppenwolf. Yeah, he's definitely a little creepier, and a little bit of a motivation to him that makes more sense. The Darkseid stuff is better. It's cool. Zack has thrown them all out there. If you watch the new latest trailer, it's all spoiled pretty much. It's a couple other shots, but it does feel like he added more Darkseid just because. And I think that was wise given how much he's been hyping Darkseid. But he's in there and he seems menacing. I will say the scene where he shows up for the first time though, not menacing. The scene where the introduction scene that he's been hyping where he shows up and with the thing, he kind of loses pretty quick. So my full honesty, I was kind of like, really? What? And so I don't know, it was weird, but there are some moments then later where I guess because I was younger version or something, later moments they show a couple other sort of montage moments and things that feel a little tacked on, but clearly he's just there to set up a sequel. And so I could see why they maybe didn't want to put that in there and cut a lot of that stuff if it was there, because they're like, well, we don't know if we're going to do a sequel to this because we can't tell if this is good. And then regarding the Joker, yeah, he's not better. I don't want to spoil it, but it is a little bit meandering, tacked on, like monologuing with Jared Leto still sounding like Jim Carrey to me. Is he better? I guess a little bit, but I still don't. Now after seeing this, I'm like, I'm good. Thanks. Goodbye, Jared Leto. You tried. See you later. No interest in seeing the Joker again. And then as for the epilogue itself, the epilogue is interesting, but it's really a bunch of unnecessary tacked on bonus scenes. Again, they don't really make much sense. They're just sort of world building at the end. Sort of as you watch the movie, it felt like Zack really wanted to put a bunch of scenes at the end to be like, see, there's so much more I could be doing. And fans are going to eat it up and be like, oh my God, I want to see this. And honestly, a nightmare version of this movie would have been interesting. But seeing the team up and the nightmare moment at the end, which is at the end, weirdly enough, in the epilogue, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that. He added more Mira, Amber Heard, and I don't want to see it. I no interest. I don't like her. I don't like Mira. I don't like any of it now. So the epilogue plays like... The epilogue is what's open-ended in a way because it sort of opens up where it could go. But the film itself does have an ending, thankfully. But again, it's hard to spoil this movie because you've seen it already. You really have seen this movie. There's just going to be a few little surprises and moments of, oh, they did this and oh, they did that. And that's why I wonder if the general audience will really care. So overall, I got lots more to say. I want to break down more of these scenes and compare the two because I think that's going to be the most fascinating thing to really go through as time progresses. But overall, fans of Zack and his universe here are going to love it. I think indifferent fans are going to be indifferent, and I think people who don't like it clearly just aren't going to like it. And I've always been more indifferent than not liking it. I've grown to appreciate Man of Steel and some of the ones more. BVS has moments of greatness. That scene with Bruce Wayne seeing Superman fly through with Wayne Enterprises, it's awesome. But then Lex Luthor and a lot of other stuff sort of make me lose, and Doomsday, a lot of it made me lose interest. Too much movie. He's trying to just throw the whole kitchen sink at it. And there's a little bit of that here too. As for like Easter eggs and oh my God, there's not as many I think people think. The history scene, it's pretty similar to what you saw already to deflate expectations. He's pretty much shown almost everything out there. And if you saw the leaks, which I advise you not, then again, you won't be that much more surprised. He really did try to show everything to sort of get people to say it, which does make me think, yeah, I mean, he's not saving anything. There's no surprises. It's like, oh my God, what about this? What about that? Sadly, I'm not trying, I guess, is that a spoiler? I mean, there's some surprises, but not like surprises. You're like, there's one. I'll say that. There's one. But anyway, I'm curious what you guys think. I'm so looking forward to talking about this further with you guys. Thursday night, we will absolutely be doing a Nerd Wars, debating this, getting more into spoiler territory. And so we'll have some positive people, some people who weren't so as positive, and we'll have a breakdown of what this really means. So lots more coming. If you haven't already subscribed, you made this far, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, hit the alerts for all alerts, smash that like button, and please leave a comment down below. And you can smash the dislike if you prefer. If you want to go and hate, it doesn't matter, because any engagement actually helps me get views. And you guys did so great with all those hate clicks on the last one that cha-ching, thank you. Don't be mad I got a cut. Be grateful that Zack and Warner Brothers aren't afraid to give this out to everybody. I applaud them. So thank you, Warner Brothers and Zack, for letting me do this. It made me want to be more respectful and just make sure I was very fair and not be jaded or bitter about it, which I see a lot of people out there. Why didn't I get it? Why didn't I get it? Thank you for trusting me to do it and giving an honest opinion. Like I said, if you liked it, his movies, you're going to love this. If you didn't, be prepared. But that's all I got for you. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned. My full-length review. I appreciate all you guys. Hit that subscribe button, and you can check out these. In the meanwhile, stay tuned for more. Bye, everybody.